we begin this chunk of reading, you're going to be introduced to Patty Nugent. This is the mama of Kwang Ha and Mai, and I want you to just maybe think about how she as a mom is feeling with her kids coming home, telling her the news that Willow Chance just got, and what you would maybe do as their mom. Would you take in this kiddo? Would you do something different? And then listen to the quote that they give to describe Patty. A leader organizes people, whether they know it or not. Let's continue reading. It was a slow afternoon at the salon, and Patty was doing inventory, which was never her favorite thing, but it had to be done. Bottles of nail polish vanished almost every day, and she was certain that it was the result of theft from both her workers and her clients, so it was essential to stay on top of the situation. As a small business owner, you had to show that you cared about these things, even if the nail polish bought in bulk only ended up costing her 69 cents a pop. That was one of the secrets to success, caring about the big things and the small things, or in Patty's case, you cared about everything. She wished all of her customers just wanted red nails. Red was so lucky. Patty carried over 100 shades in their squat little glass containers. She put down a bottle of fire engine red and picked up peacock blue, a new shade that was very popular but carried no good fortune. With the annoying blue in her right hand, she looked through the front window and suddenly saw a dusty sedan pulling into the parking lot, and a police car was right behind it. Not good. Maybe if she had kept her red bottle in her hand, this wouldn't have happened. She knew that wasn't logical, but still. And then she watched her heart rate increasing as her two kids got out of the dirty Ford and rushed toward her salon. Really not good. Patty dropped the little glass bottle straight into the trash. She was going to discontinue carrying the unlucky peacock blue nail polish. In the very first week of school, Kwang Ha had cut class and had gotten into arguments with teachers. He was in danger of being expelled, and Patty had asked the principal for counseling, and she firmly believed that her son needed a voice of authority to scare him back on the right path. But not real authority, certainly not the police. And before she could make a guess at what he had done, the kids were already inside the salon, and they were both talking at once. Kwang Ha wanted his mother to know that Mai had lied, and suddenly there was an important moment for him because the playing field was being leveled. Now he wasn't the only one who twisted words to people in charge, but Mai, speaking rapid fire in Vietnamese, raised her voice above his. This wasn't about lying. This was about a car accident and a girl who had lost her parents. Mai only cared about that. Kwang Ha had argued that they didn't even know the little kid, and getting involved on any level was trouble, and Patty tried to sort it all out, but it wasn't long until both of the police officers were standing in front of her, getting ready to launch an avalanche of questions in her direction, and before they could, Mai took her mother's hand and pulled her toward the door. Patty followed, moving past the two cops. Mai led her straight to Dell's car, where she wordlessly opened the back seat door so that her mother could be face to face with Willow, and Patty saw grief. Her eyes focused on a version of her own young self and so many other children in Vietnam who grew up without parents, some abandoned because of their ethnicity and others because of tragedy, and her arms reached out wide. After Patty signed the bottom of the paperwork that gave her legal responsibility of Willow for the next 24 hours, the police cruiser charged out of the parking lot like a getaway car, and that left Del Duke. He wanted to be invited home with them, and he was now really a part of this, but Patty ignored him, and she went on about closing the nail salon early and barking orders in Vietnamese at the two manicurists. Del hung around the cash register trying to be relevant, but it wasn't working. Even though Patty stood barely over 5 feet tall and his 5 foot 8 inches, she kept edging him toward the door. "We talk tomorrow," she said once more, and then suddenly she had a hold of his right elbow, and she was literally leading him outside, and Del managed to say, "I should probably get your home number. I have it in Kwang Ha's files at the office, but Patty either wasn't listening or wasn't interested." She pulled out a large ring of keys, and with Del now on the sidewalk, she went back to the salon and began locking the heavy door at the bottom. Del was on the wrong side of the thick plate glass, but he continued as if he were still in the room, raising his voice and saying, "Okay then, I should be going, which I'll do right now. Long day for all of us." He strained to get a better look at Willow, but she was crouched down with Mai by her side. He hadn't even said goodbye. Patty then snapped off the bright fluorescent ballast, and the windows were tinted, making it hard to see much of anything inside. Del walked into his car, and when he glanced over his shoulder, the salon was just shadows. They had to be leaving out a back door to go home. He thought about following their car as they drove away, but suddenly the weight of what had happened, the enormity of the situation, hit him hard. Dale got into his Ford and slid the key into the ignition, and then he burst into tears. His neck muscles seemed to give way as he sobbed. His head fell forward, hitting the steering wheel, and that's when the horn sounded and startled him, and the world around him was in new consciousness. I'm gonna just see here. Yeah, I'll quick do